Shoo-wee. It's episode 11. So we have dropped 10 episodes in 5 months. Yussus, hey? What an exciting journey it's been so far. When I look back on all the previous episodes and reflect on all the lacquer South Africans I've met, I remember the colourful stories they shared, and I'm filled with absolute inspiration as I find myself feeling empowered living in a new country among fellow South Africans. It's undeniable that the South African spirit is one of the most warm, eclectic, and humorous in the world. And so the Yussus Lifestyle Podcast adventure continues. I've come to realize that these shared stories not only have a healing impact on the person narrating their story, but it also gives those listening encouragement to keep going when they feel lost or alone in a new country. Personally, I've experienced this dual effect by hosting these pods, but so many people have messaged me to share how they have restored hope in their hearts after listening to these stories. It has given South Africans a space to continue to embrace their heritage wherever they are in the world, bringing a real sense of Ubuntu within our Rainbow Nation. So let's get into the episode. Our guest today has a youthful zest for life. Born in Knysna and growing up in Pretoria, she was pulled out of her South African nest and dropped on the lands of Taiwan. She was only 17 years old, following the footsteps of her mother, a music teacher who was pursuing a better opportunity for herself and her children. She found herself enrolled into the America School of Taipei just a few months before the COVID pandemic hit the globe. She spent lockdowns learning online in a foreign country in a very uncertain time, and she finished her schooling in Taipei before she decided to spread her wings to the Netherlands. She landed in Utrecht to study liberal arts and science, as she wasn't sure yet of her desired path. As a creative spirit who loves biology and science, she explores her passions of the metaphysical aspects of the human being every day in her new hometown. She is a very special soul with a big heart in a young body, and she is an absolute delight to connect with. So let's meet her. She is Minka Brits. So welcome, Minka.
Hi, happy to be here.
Oh, so sweet. So we are very excited that you came here. How did you get to know what I wanted to find out from you?
I have another South African friend that I study with, and she just told me one day, she's like, oh, there's this South African little shop, and then she showed me where it is, and we had a burrito. And
I love the way you say that.
Yeah, and it was funny because before that I was searching for other South African stores, and the closest one was in Amersfoort. So I was very happy to find this place.
Very happy. And you live near in the area?
Yeah, like 15, 20 minutes by bike.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. I also have had the experience of you joining a yoga class, so it's nice also to have English-speaking classes to attend to, even though going to the Dutch ones for me has been quite enriching because it helps me with the language. It's also nice to just hear a South African accent giving a class. Huh?
Yeah, you can do things in Dutch here, and I can, because I'm Afrikaans as well, so I can speak Dutch quite well now. But, you know, you always have to put in some mental effort to some extent, and sometimes you just don't want to do that.
Yeah, sometimes you're lazy and you just want to praat the praat, you know, in South Afrikaans, you know, the way we do it, the way we speak with our slang. And that's also Yussus being one of the slang words. I mean, we'll get into that when we go further into the pod. So let's start off with, you were born in Pretoria in the 2000s. You went to school. How long did you stay in South Africa?
17 years.
Okay, so you did a full schooling career in South Africa.
Yeah, basically I left high school in the middle of 11th grade.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. And then where did you go?
Taiwan.
What made you go to Taiwan?
Well, my mom's a music teacher, and there's this American school in Taiwan. It's called Taipei American School that she used to work at before I was born. And then she was in touch with the people that are still there, and then, we were struggling financially quite a bit. So then the opportunity presented itself for her to work there again, and it's a very rich school, so that solved the financial problems. So she took the job, and we moved there, me and her and my sister.
Awesome. How was it though? You were 17?
Yeah, I just turned 17 like a week after arriving there.
So what year was that? That was
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay, so fairly recently. And then you did what when you got to Taiwan? Were finishing your schooling there?
Yeah, because it was an American school, so I had to basically restart 11th grade. You know, because in South Africa we start in January, and then in like the northern systems we start in August or
September,
something.
August, September.
So so then I basically started 11th grade there. Was there for 2 years, finishing up high school, and it was quite a shock.
Yeah, I can
Shock
imagine.
to the system.
I've been to Taiwan. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful country, should I say, but it's small.
Yeah.
I literally did a tour where we went around the coastline of it, all the way around. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. I just couldn't get into the food. The food for me was quite a stumbling block, but there were places that I found. Some places were actually, wow, I've never tried this before and it's great. But there were a lot of times where I was just like, don't look. If you look, you're going to lose your appetite because it's quite intense. You know, one man's delicacy is another one's, is that for real? Do I have to eat that?
Exactly, yeah, because I lived in Tien Mu, which is there's a lot of expats there, or not a lot, like in comparison to the Netherlands or the rest of Europe, like not a lot at all, but comparatively. So there was quite a lot of more Western restaurants, but they have like the stinky tofu and the duck blood soup and the intestine noodle soup and
you know, you say stinky tofu and I was going to jump to that when I was talking about the food, because that's, if I explain it to friends that haven't experienced the stinky tofu, it sits on your breath even if you haven't eaten it but just walked past the store, or like hours later I could smell it still on my breath.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't had the courage to try it though.
Okay.
Did you?
I tried one bite and then the rest I just gave to my friends.
What was it like?
Stinky.
I mean, it's just common knowledge that somebody calls it that. I suppose in what do they call it in Taiwanese, in Chinese? Or
I have no idea.
So, you know, we calling it stinky tofu. Of course, in the mind, it really goes, no, that stinks. No.
Yeah, I wonder if I was thinking if they didn't call it stinky tofu, would I still describe it as stinky? But then I was thinking, no, definitely I would describe it as stinky.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably where the name came from originally. Some Westerner was like, oh, that's stinky tofu, you know?
Exactly.
But it still tastes like tofu in the texture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, I haven't had the guts for that. Okay, so then you stayed there, and what was your life like there? Did you miss South Africa?
So much. Because when I found out we were moving, I kind of shut down a bit emotionally, and I never really said goodbye, and then it just hit me after a while of being there. Like I was trying so hard to not let it get to me that it just, obviously that doesn't work, you know, but so I was missing it very much, and I was like, I should never have moved. And especially, you know, like moving as an adult is one thing, but if you're like just almost out of like adolescence, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, at 17, I can be honest with you, if I look back at me at 17, I would have been shattered. I had so many connections and friends and sort of vibes going on, you know. It was
exactly. I was just like finding my group of people, finding my passions. I was like doing a lot of art, doing a lot of music, and I was like trying to be in a band and stuff like that. And then it all just stopped when I moved, because obviously you have no connections there. Yeah. And so I had no medium to express myself. And then the school that I was in is very like future oriented, you know, so it was like you have to work now, you have to do everything perfect, or else you're never going to be a success, and blah blah blah.
Very intellectual rather than creative.
Yeah. And I was trying to fit into that crowd, and you know, because I wanted connections with people, and it just didn't work. And honestly, like, I'm still dealing with that, because then I came to university here, and I was like, okay, I guess.
Where were you in COVID times, in the 2020 pandemic in Taiwan?
Taiwan.
How was it then? I think most people that are listening to this would love to know, because this is one of the biggest questions, how it was in 2020 lockdowns for the rest of the world. For every part of the world I know that I've spoken to people, was different.
Yeah. Well, Taiwan, because it started like quite close by in Wuhan, you know, and Taiwan is very precautionary in general. So, and people there wear masks on a daily basis, whether or not there's COVID.
Yeah.
So people were already wearing masks generally, and then they were like, okay, well, there's COVID going around, so now everyone has to wear masks. So they prevented like they prevented it from becoming too bad.
Okay.
And I think we had a lockdown for 2 weeks, but that was it. And other than that, we just had to go to school in masks and had to walk around outside in masks. And just
it was pretty much like that here in the Netherlands as well. I was here in Utrecht at the time. Okay. And there weren't even masks here at the time. In the very, very beginning. It was like, just use your common sense and have social distancing.
Okay.
And you could still go to the supermarket, but you had to have a basket, so they knew the number of people coming in and out.
Yeah, right.
You could go walking around every day, all day, if you wanted to, if you were outside, but you didn't have to have a mask on. And then when the numbers were not contained and they actually blew up towards the end of that year, they got really serious about it, and then everybody had to put masks on.
Yeah.
But it was certainly not what I've heard from my family that were living in South Africa at the time. They were allowed out a certain period of time per day
so
only.
strict in South Africa.
And then a lot of things like alcohol and cigarettes were taken off the market. I mean, if you want to cause people some dilemma, like, let's just make them totally crazy in their houses. You know? They're really feeling freaked out that the whole world's come to a stop, and now you're saying, now you can't go to your addictions that normally get you through things in life.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
We're going to stop that too now. I'm surprised that... You know, that was an actual condition for them, because here it was more about, we've got to keep the mentality of people right. Yeah. People need to still feel safe and secure, but they still need to go out. You could see people here too, but you could only visit like one person to one household.
Yeah. What I kind of like about, this is a very Minka type of view of it, but like what I do like about the idea, at least, of COVID in South Africa is like all these underground things going on, you know, like oh, my friend's grandma is selling wine. Do you want some? You know, I've heard my friends that tell me all these stories of like, and we were running from the cops, and this and this and this. And
it's just typical of how South Africans deal with it too, because it's ironic. If you had done it in this country, everybody would have listened. Yeah. And it would have been adhered to. But in South Africa, it was like they really have a hard time with everything else. Now they've got this, and you're taking things off the market for them. And also certain businesses weren't able to function. Whereas here, online went like this, like, it just exploded because people were able to still shop, but online.
Yeah, exactly. And there you can't, because it's not going to be delivered at all, ever.
It's crazy, hey? So when did you decide to come study here then? So you were 2019 in Taiwan, 2020 lockdowns, you were there, 2021 you decided to move out of Taiwan and come here.
Yeah, well, I graduated high school. So
nice, well done.
Yeah, thank you. That was a mission in Taiwan. So
well, you made it, well done.
So I was just looking at universities like a year or like a few months before graduating, and I honestly don't really know why I chose the Netherlands and Utrecht specifically. I didn't really know what I wanted to study, because at the time, like I said, I was like really forced into this academic path, but I guess subconsciously there was this part of me that was like, no, don't completely go there yet, you know. So I chose a liberal arts and science program, which is offered like at a few universities across the Netherlands. But all the other universities were like kind of more focused on either social science or either humanities or politics or something more specific. But the one in Utrecht, University College Utrecht, is it's equally like you can do whatever you can pursue whatever discipline you want, and it is given equal attention. All of the disciplines, So we have like three academic domains: humanities, social science, and science. And then the first year you have a few requirements you have to fulfill, but like you have to do one class from each domain. But then after that, you choose which you want to pursue like properly. And then within each domain, there are different disciplines. So like, you know, science, there's like biology, chemistry, physics, math, blah, blah. And social science, politics, economics, etc. So I chose science. I'm doing biology and earth and environment. Yeah, very sciencey.
But you sound creative as well.
Yeah.
Are you creatively scientific?
I don't really know. I've been going through this weird thing where I, like, not weird, I think it's very natural, but just kind of discovering what I actually need to be myself and to be a human and not just to survive, because I was still stuck in this mindset of, like, being this successful, like, serious academic person, which was ingrained in me in Taiwan. And yeah, I think I just clung on to that because everything else was taken away from me when I moved from South Africa, you know? So I was just clinging on to things even if they didn't resonate with me. And I think now, after being here for 2.5 years, maybe because I feel more comfortable here, it's starting to come out. And I'm like, hey, I don't have to hold on to things so strongly anymore. I can just kind of be.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've been going through this thing where I'm like, do I even want to do science? And because I really like biology, I don't like earth and environment that much, but what I love about biology is more like the metaphysical aspect of it, where you get to look at a human being and think all of these things are going on in this human, but there's so many different layers, and this is just one of it, and it's amazing. And like, then look at this like layer of a human being, and then this layer, and it just makes everything seem so coherent.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actual like experiments and research, I just find it so dry, and writing reports, I feels like it sucks the life out of me.
Yeah. Well, there we go. It's good that you've got this opportunity where you could actually dabble into the differences.
Exactly.
And be able to, because a lot of, in my generation, a lot of it was like people would go and study for 7 years, a psychology degree or whatever with masters and honors, and get out of it and be like, do I really want to be a psychologist? And, you know, for me, when I came out of school, I just did 1 year advertising and marketing. I loved the idea of promoting brands. I loved the creativity behind it. Mm-hmm. Didn't really like the subliminal manipulation that happens with advertising, which it is. But I learned that later on in my career. However, I never really was offered an opportunity, and I don't even know in South Africa if there is that. And like you say, Holland, Utrecht is one of the places that are giving that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really good, because then you're actually getting more accurate results of what people would want to do. And biology, with that metaphysical and the self-observation, is what I see that interests you, because you're right, there's so much that goes on in our bodies, but we never learned that in school. We kind of brush on the surface. But now when you start digging in deeper, and I do this a lot from all the spiritual work that I'm doing, it's so interesting to me that the body actually functions so amazingly with so many moving parts.
Yeah.
Yet I look at you and I look at me and we look still.
Yes.
We look still.
Yeah,
meantime, we're moving.
Yeah, and they teach you about a cell as being like this little square or round blobby thing that's just stationary in there. But if you look at it like under a light microscope, it's all moving the whole time. Like each cell is its own little person, you know? And I see this paralleled with like also emotions and thoughts, you know? Like I like to think of my emotions, or emotions in general, as like these little people inside of you, you know? And they all need the same things as you, you know? So and if you try to oppress them, they're gonna come out and rebel, you know? So you gotta treat them like you want yourself to be treated, like other people want to be treated, with acceptance and love.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful to see it that way.
Thank you.
And please, God, you keep going with this so that you can actually change the mindsets and the vibrational frequencies of people through this understanding.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
I would love to, but I have trouble seeing how.
Okay, well, here's a little bit of spiritual. I know we're sidetracking from the Yussus podcast, but here's a little bit of spiritual intake for you, is that don't worry about the how. Mm-hmm. That's the ego. Ego wants to know how it can be done, because there's logic. And with logic, you need to know the solutions, equations, formulas. But what about the magic and mystery of things unfolding depending on your vibrational frequency?
Yeah.
What are you vibrating? Are you living in that millionaire state to become that millionaire and attract it? Are you living in any state? Are you living in that compassionate state to attract compassion to you and to give it out?
Yeah.
So it's really about, don't worry about the how, just let yourself unfold. Just coming back to the podcast, talking about feelings, I wanted to ask you, when you were feeling so low in Taiwan and you moved from South Africa, what was it that you missed the most about South Africa? And I'm sure it's going to be something related to relationships, but also were there things you missed, rituals, social gatherings? I don't know.
Yeah. The things I missed the most, first of all, the openness, the spaces. You know, I love just like the mountains and the views and the ocean and the colors. I feel like, and the sky, you know, there's just this type of blue that is unparalleled anywhere else I've been, you know. And then relationship-wise, what I really missed, I was making some really good friends in high school before I left. And then I missed that because it took me a while to make those friends, and then I just suddenly left, and yeah, I didn't really acknowledge how much they meant to me because it would hurt too much, I think. So, but then after a while of living in Taiwan, I was like, fuck, you know, I really...
Have you made friends with those emotions?
It's a process.
You just said your own advice, or you just told your own solution.
Yeah, no, I know.
About it. You've now understood that the cells are like that. They're the same as the emotions. Now you're going to take every one of those and you're just going to slowly let them go.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, it's different. It's one thing to know the solution, and it's another thing to live it.
Yeah,
you
true,
know?
true.
So even though I know this is the way, it's like,
the practice.
Every day, you just get like a little step closer, you know?
You have to do the consistency. And it's the same when you leave South Africa and you move to a new place. I felt that when I moved here officially, it's almost like what you were explaining. You just kind of keep going and you push away whatever else comes up, because there's so much to do in a new country. Yeah. There's so many things you've got to get used to, not only on the metaphysical level, but also on like emotional. What else in South Africa that I missed was like just the social gatherings on a Sunday at somebody's house, big space, probably backyard. A pool, if not a pool, a big garden, but the space for sure, and the social gatherings of more intimate spaces. Yeah, you can go, but you're either confined into a home or you're by the lake, and then there's everybody around, or a canal, should I say. So so then, but you were in Taiwan for 2.5 years, if I'm calculating correctly. You would have come here in 2021 of August or July.
It was 2
June.
years exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you find then the difference from South Africa to Taiwan was easier to digest when you got here, or did you find that it was coupled onto it now? Did you make any friends in Taiwan, or then have to uproot that all, or were you quite guarded?
I had some superficial friends. I didn't feel like I really connected with anyone. There was one girl that I did connect to. Sorry.
That's okay.
Pearl. But she's also like an international person, like moving all over the place. So I find that it's tough with those people to really make a connection, because in their minds it's always like, don't get close.
Yeah.
You know? But I did have fun with Pearl. We always, when we had an off period, we'd always play chess, and neither of us were good at chess, but we just kind of just did whatever. We made up our own rules sometimes. Yeah, and then. So I talk to Pearl every now and then, but yeah, it's not like some other friends I have that I communicate with like frequently. You know, try to call at least once a month for like a few hours, and But
and these are friends in Taiwan and in South Africa? Or
no, Pearl is the only one
in Taiwan.
In Taiwan, sorry.
Taiwan,
in Taiwan. And my South African friends, actually, like, most of the South African friends I have now were people that I met when I went on holiday back. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but with them, I keep frequent contact.
I also think that whether you move countries or not, there is a period in leaving school that friends do separate. And then they get married and they have kids, and the ties sort of get like in the same country, in the same province, but You just don't get to see each other, and that's okay, I think, as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think it just was a bit more exacerbated for you because of having to move to a new place, and it was not only missing people in South Africa, but it was to adjust to the language you heard around you, to the smells, to the climates. I mean, even here, if you're from Joburg or Pretoria, we're very high altitude.
Yeah.
And it's a dry heat, and here we're below sea level. So already the body has to adjust at some point, and it's not always consciously known because it's happening on the surface. Under the surface, should I say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely all those things. But I think, if when people move, like after high school and they get married, like you say, that type of story, you know, I feel like that's more of a natural process. So losing people like that is maybe easier to digest.
It is because it comes in small increments. It doesn't happen all at once. You had it all happen at once.
Yeah.
And now have you made connections in... Oh, wait, one question. Your mom and your sister, are they still in Taiwan? Okay. Do you frequently visit them?
No. The first 2 years I was here, I was like, I don't want to go back to Taiwan.
Shell-shocked.
Yeah, it's quite... but then last semester I was going through a bit of a tough time, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go to Taiwan just for the sake of having that connection again, you know. But I arrived in Taiwan. I think I have never been that anxious for like a whole week at a time than when I was there, because it's just like I go out and immediately it's like I'm reminded of like so many things and just where I was 2 years ago, and was confronted with so much. When looking back, I think it was definitely worth it going, because I say it's a transformative experience.
Yeah,
you know,
of
like
course.
it wasn't what I hoped it would be, with like just having mom to cuddle me and cook for me, and
you went back and faced the shadows.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't keep those shadows there. They just, like you say, little cells that need to be freed.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need to be freed and let go of, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't go back to it, so I also found that now I went back to South Africa, and I also have a lot of people that I've lost there to death. And when I was there back there now, it was like, when I come to this side, I can kind of put it in a closet and make like it doesn't exist. But when I'm there, the memories come up.
Exactly.
And sometimes it takes you at a total unexpected turn, and you think to yourself, gee, am I that broken still about it? I thought I'd kind of moved on. No, I just suppressed. But I did love going back, and I did love seeing things there this time, because like you say, the nature, the oceans, the sunsets, the sunrises, the sky, the birds, the trees, everything is just... And I think it's because we were born there. Yeah. So it's home. It's like I literally went back home. It'll always be home.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is important for South Africans that haven't left the country to understand, is that it's sometimes perceived by South Africans that we've just run away from the country.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yes, we did in one respect. We moved away from the country. We didn't run away. We moved away because we had other opportunities.
Yeah.
But we never look, and I don't certainly do this, and most South Africans that I've met here have always said to me, that we miss the South African people. In fact, outside, I was talking to a guy born in Amsterdam, and I said, well, you can always count on a South African for personality. but seriously, because other shops you go in here, no offense to the Dutch people, but they're very vanilla and very straightforward and to the point. And like, there's no, hi, how are you? How's things going? Nice weather today. It's more like,
mag ik je helpen?
Mag ik je helpen? Of
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like...
It's very clinical and formal.
Yes. I went... Yeah. No, wait. I wanted to say multiple things, not at the same time. Every time I go back home...
Take a breath.
Every time I go back home and I arrive at the airport and there are the people there to check your passport, and they're just like taking their time, just chatting to like the people next to them, and you get there, you're like, come on, just let this line move, you know? And then it's just so lovely to just see...
Relaxed.
Yeah, and just humans being humans and not humans trying to be machines or whatever.
I get that, and I totally agree with you, because that is definitely pulling up to a petrol station. The guy wanders over, and it's like, shab, how are you today? And
exactly.
It's really just so like, I'm here at the petrol station having a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
You know, go buy something inside the shop.
Have a laugh.
Yeah. Even get your car washed around the corner. There's always these like... I don't know, gezelligheid, how the Dutch would say it, but it's definitely that in South Africa.
Exactly.
Yeah, you see, now I miss that.
Yes.
But then there are the problems that you see, that you realize, well, if I have the opportunities here, then I'm going to take them. But obviously doing these podcasts as well is about promoting South Africa. And that's what I really want to bring across, is that even though we have left the country, by no means are we not proud.
Yes.
When you see here in the cities and all around the world, when rugby is on, or cricket, or something that is really like heartfelt by the South Africans, it's such an amazing feeling. Like I was walking down the street after the World Cup the one night, and I was talking to my friend, and I was just in English, blah, 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 talking with my South African accent.
Yes.
And the next minute, and the South Africans had won the World Cup. And I was so happy about this as well, and I was feeling all good. And the next minute, it was like 2:30 a.m. I was walking past the spa. There's a spa here around the corner, which I love because it makes me feel like home. Oh, yeah, spa. And I just heard this guy go, "Hey, Yussus!" And then he went, "Go Boca!" And I went, "Go Boca, Yussus!" And it was just such an amazing interchange of 3 seconds, and we carried on our way.
Exactly. I made a South African friend. Well, I have a few South African friends here, but recently one I really connected with. And he said that, like, we were talking about the Netherlands and our experience and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I went to a festival here, and I turned and I wanted to talk to someone. And I was like, oh, da, 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 da. And but the person just kind of looked at him and walked away. And he's like, yeah, I miss just these random interactions with people. And
especially when you're at a party pub or a social event or a rugby game. It's like you don't know people, but you know people. It's it's a warmth. There is a warmth. And I think that's the one most important thing South Africa has going for them, is the people's warmth in their heart. And here sometimes I feel like it bounces off. You know, people smile here, they are friendly.
Yeah.
There is a good mannered interaction.
Yeah.
But it's not
authentic, in my opinion.
To you, because we're not born from here. So now I think if we were Dutch, we would be. But for us, it's like, it looks like a missing because we come from what we come from.
Yes.
And so that misconception, we need to just like change it and say like, yeah, okay, they don't know this, but I'm going to continue being this, because a lot of my bubbles are, they're actually rubbing off on people. And they're realizing like, yeah, you can actually just be a little bit looser.
Exactly.
And not so highly strung.
Yeah. I used to think like, well, not really think, but I used to have this attitude of, if I move somewhere, I need to adjust to fit into like whatever is appropriate in their culture. You know, I don't know exactly why, like maybe a sign of respect, maybe just trying to
but that's
find
a good
your
thing.
way easier.
Yes.
You know,
you are in somebody else's country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
You would expect people coming into South Africa to have the same mentality.
Yeah, but then I also imagine if someone came into South Africa being themselves but not like rude or anything like that, you know, I wouldn't mind that. Like there's a difference between sacrificing yourself and being respectful.
I think, you know, what that boils down to is the diversity in South Africa is immense. We have so many different cultures. We have so many different races. Yeah. It's actually amazing if you think about it. We're very blessed and very lucky to have grown up interacting with so many different facets of what South Africa is. Yeah. And that's people. And here, South African people have a really good... I'm trying to think of the word. They have a really good way of embracing something that's not the same as them, but still the same.
Yeah.
So we fall under a South African bracket, but we don't say, okay, we're South African. We say we are Dutch South African, we are Greek South African, we are, because we have so many, we are African South African, you know. That's pretty much how we look at it. Yeah. So even though you've got a different culture to me, we still under South African.
Yeah, yeah. But what I find so interesting is because I find this vibe from most South Africans, but not the older Afrikaans generations.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like my high school, I went to Waterkloof.
Yeah, nice. I love hearing that word, Waterkloof. Say it again.
Waterkloof. And you know, like very Christian, very authoritative, and it made me. It fueled a big part of who I am, which is just incredibly rebellious, and you know, and I love that. But you know, so in a part, I'm happy for it, but then it doesn't give me that vibe of what you just said about. Like having this
embracing
the differences.
I think I'm generalizing because I'm probably like just a little bit my perception's a little bit warped because I'm not there and living in it. So I'm probably not seeing the day-to-day interactions, but from a whole and a general I think one of the Dutch people actually said it to me one day, and he said he's very amazed that South Africa has so many different cultures, so many different people and races, yet it hasn't broken out in a war. And it's interesting because that again, and then when you look at the day today, people aren't really tolerant of each other because they're all in their own heads. But if you look at I suppose that's for every country, but I don't know, I see it different with South Africa, because when we've got an event that happens, a rugby event, it's really been the bringing together.
Yeah,
Yet I was brought up in a convent, and I think it's the generation. It's not about there's a lot of history in South Africa. Think about it.
Yeah.
So
of course. Yeah.
You got to look at it from that perspective and understand we've shifted in a new energy now.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the new energy South Africans,
yes,
where everybody's tolerant of everybody because everybody has a right.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely feel that with my friends, with most other people my age. When I visit, I love always going to places, hanging out, because everyone's just...
I love it. I love the diversity. I love tasting new foods from different cultures and hearing languages and having a bit of this language and that language and this language and nobody knows what I'm talking about, Just so that's what I love about it. Yeah. But I also love the color. There's a lot of color in our spirit.
I love the flag as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. It is. Hey, it's a good. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, it's so colorful but it's not like other colorful flags which are kind of messy. Like it's nice and
neat.
It just looks nice. Yeah,
proper. Shout out to the South African flag designers.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Netherlands. What are the favorite things you love about the Netherlands? What are the things that you actually are happy that you chose to come and stay here?
Wow. Interesting, because I can't really specifically name anything. I really like diving deep into things, but I could have done this anywhere, it doesn't have to be the Netherlands, but I enjoy seeing like different people and different ways people act in different like social groups, and you have this kind of like alternative movement in the Netherlands where with young people where they buy the secondhand clothes and they're all vegan, and I find that really interesting in comparison to like the frat boys, that walk around in their blazers on Thursday nights, and it's just very interesting to observe, and also interesting to think that despite all these differences, there is a way to distinguish a Dutch person from a non-Dutch person, which I can't really place my finger on, but it's there, I'm like, yeah, you're Dutch, I can see it, and so just like kind of observing and experiencing has been really great. But if I have to say something more specific, I'd say the layout of the country and how easy it is to go to other places as well.
Yeah, the public transport system is fantastic.
Yeah. And I also find it so amazing that like the saying is that God created the world and the Dutch created the Netherlands, just with all the...
heard that. That's amazing. Say that again.
God created the world and the Dutch created the Netherlands.
That's excellent. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. I love that.
I find it so cool to see, like, to think of the history and think like this country has been, been here for generations, and they really understand. Like, I don't know, it just feels like in South Africa it's colorful, but it's all very young feeling. But here you can really feel the
roots of history.
The roots, yeah, exactly. So
yeah, lots happened in this town, and lots happened in this country. There's been a lot of stories going on in their past, and also they've kept a lot of the heritage, which is fantastic, because that also is what I love about this place, is walking through the streets and seeing these beautiful architectures of old times, and it almost feels like I was transported back to an old time, even though there's still modern people and modern shops. Yeah, I could just imagine the horse cart and that
exactly,
kind of vibe. Yeah. It almost feels like a movie set.
Yeah, and the policemen that ride around on the horses, that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy. The last time I heard that, I was sitting at my window, and the next minute I was like, can't be horses' hooves, can't be. And that was the police, and I was like, can you imagine in South Africa? Not a chance. So there's a lot of differences, but there's also like a lot of interest in it. I get what you're saying about it being interesting. What I love is the freedom to walk around.
Yes.
And in South Africa, even if you take away the safety element, it's also not like you're in a car and then you at the shopping mall and then you're in a car and then you at home and then you're in a car and then you at the petrol station. Here you get to walk.
Yeah.
You hear different languages around you while you're walking on the street. You're in nature because there's always trees and canals around you.
Yeah.
There's birds. There's this almost at ease feeling here, even though it's contradictory because it feels like it's very well run and well oiled like a machine.
But I think you need one for the other kind of.
Yeah, but it's interesting, you know, there's like this non-chaos in the way that people are functioning here. You come here and you almost feel like, do people work here for a living, you know? Because they don't. They do, but they don't. You know what I mean? I think it's because you see them on the streets. If that happened in South Africa, we probably also see the same thing because a lot of these people do work, but they're walking from one job to the next, or they're going home from a job, or they're going to a job.
Yeah, so it's not just strolling.
In your opinion, sometimes you look at it and think, oh, all these people on holiday. Not at all.
Yeah,
they're just functioning and doing their thing.
But I also think the lifestyle here, like just based on what I can see, is quite relaxed in general, you know. Obviously it differs, and like I work at this bar restaurant thing, and there, you know, it's very like I really enjoy it, but they really give you long hours, and it's but then other people that I hear like work 4 times a week and they do this on this side and they still have energy to do this, and then I look at my studies and I'm like, if I have one day off a week, I'm happy, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is it. I think you're also more in a dedicated sense of having to do that. But as soon as you start in the work field, there are certain hours you have to work in this country, then you can't work overtime. And if you work overtime, there's some laws that go according to it. Whereas in South Africa, it doesn't matter what you're working. Overtime, you're putting in those hours. There's no like, because where are you going to go? Go home to your house. People are like, no, I want to go sit at the cafe, on the terrace. I want to have a beer. I want to see people walking past. I want to be part of life.
Yeah. It's definitely more integrated into all the other human beings around you in comparison to maybe your neighbor or your school friends or your work friends. In
South Africans are so busy putting out fires. They don't have the time to think about this. And maybe that's where you say they come together. Has to be well-oiled and a running machine for you to be able to only work 40 hours a week and still maintain and still have a lifestyle and still go to the cafe for a drink.
Exactly.
So, I think it has that. We're very laid back, but that means that nothing's going to happen in South Africa.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to work twice as hard because you slacked off or whatever, or the country's slacking off. I know, that's cool. And have you met other cultures in your university? Like, I mean, name some if you can.
Okay,
just interested to know.
My university, it's international. It's designed for international people. So 2 of my best friends are Polish. Another one of my best friends is Hungarian. I live with an American girl and another Polish girl. Actually, so many Polish people. And then a lot of French people, Belgian people, a lot of people from like Southeast Asia. Not a lot of people from other African countries, some South Africans, but most of the time the South Africans at my university are South Africans that have lived most of their life in another country or in other countries.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. It's a little different. But and then what else?
That's quite diverse already, what you've mentioned. I mean, that's a lot of different countries. But I also know that the Netherlands has been a very big attraction for a lot of people wanting to study. So I think their educational systems are really like attractive to the rest of the world. Yeah. And they offer courses and things that probably others don't.
Yeah, and
just
also
another
just
way
English.
of them oiling that machine, you know?
Yeah, they're so good at that. Yeah, exactly. Because I also looked at other European countries, but the Netherlands is just, you know, a lot of English things. Okay. So I think that's also why a lot of international people come here.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense that it could be. The English is also a very big plus for a lot of us living here because if you can't really get into the language, you can always revert to English, which isn't like that in a lot of the European countries.
Definitely.
I wanted to ask you now, things that annoy you or frustrate you about this place.
One thing, when I work at the restaurant, it's a place that people go to have like a night out, to have cocktails, to get dressed up, that type of place. And there's this like trend under Dutch women to dress up in like leather, black leather, and like shiny glitter tops with like incredibly dark makeup, and it's just that type of, and it's always like a group of girls, a group of women that are together and that are just like, woo, you go girl, oh, it's slay, you know, and that,
But look.
yeah, exactly. And then I bring them the cocktails, and they're just like, woo, you know, like they go insane. And I mean, it's fun to a certain extent, but these are generally, like, they generally have very big egos. They don't treat me as a waitress very well a lot of the times, you know.
A bit snobby.
A bit snobby, exactly, that's the word, yeah. Okay. So I'd say that irritates me. Whenever a group of these women walk into the restaurant, I'm just like, oh no.
I get that. That can be annoying. That can be frustrating, especially if you have to be serving them and seeing that every day, you know, when you're working. So if it's once off, it's like, okay, watch these tarts. These twitches make a little bit of a night out of their lives. But I get it. If anybody treats you like that, it's annoying. It's not really cool. I mean, you're not a servant. You're just a waitress that's there to help coordinate this experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Show some gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then on the other hand, what I like about like waitressing in the Netherlands is, in comparison to South Africa, where you always have to be very, like, the customer is right, etc. Here you can kind of just, at least where I work, you can kind of just like be yourself, do your thing, and you know, people won't, I don't know, they don't really mind if you like you don't treat them like royalty, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah. There is. I was going to say that there is a large amount of people that do go out here, the Dutch, and are really, they're really kind, and they're really compassionate, and they're really not looking from that space. But I think in any country you're going to get those group of girls with the black leather and the glittery tops and the woohoo. Woohoo.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't say.
That's true.
Okay, well, let's move back to South Africa now.
Okay.
We've spoken about what you miss, what you don't miss. Did you say what you don't miss?
What I don't miss? I don't think I said specifically.
No.
But I think it probably came up here and there.
Probably. But is there anything in particular that you don't miss of South Africa and you think...
I don't miss honestly, I don't miss the gender-specific roles that are very still strong in South Africa.
Okay.
You know, like, you know, going to Waterkloof, whatever, like, girls and boys sit separated. Girls have to sit with their legs crossed. Girls have to
all
do
those
things
boxing
this way and do things this way, you know. And I actually recently wrote like a short story type of thing about that, and it's called Sit With Your Fucking Legs Closed.
Oh, cool. Where is it? Where did you post it?
No, I just have it on for myself for
I'd
now.
love to read it on a personal level. I love that title, Sit With Your Fucking Legs Closed.
Thank you. Yeah, so I don't miss that. I really enjoy embracing all parts of myself and not feeling that oppression.
Yeah, I agree with you. I must be honest with you, I didn't enjoy that either. I went to a convent for 12 years of my life. But there's a lot of cultures that have stories around women of oppression still.
Yeah, definitely.
I think in the Hindu temples, you're not allowed to meditate or enter if you are menstruating. There's still a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's still a lot of oppression around. But I don't want to really get into that, because where I come from, the space to overcome this is to find the non-oppression inside yourself.
Yeah. Because it's like mindsets that are ingrained in you, and if you can unlearn these mindsets, then you can stop oppressing yourself, even if the surroundings
but also not to begrudge them, because everything is on its journey, and you needed to go through all of those oppressions to be in this space and place right now.
Very true.
And it's all different levels. So some people have to be the oppressors in this life, you know, and so you have to have a goodie and a baddie in the film, you know.
That's so true.
Otherwise, it's not a good film.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like la 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 la.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, you got to have that rebel. Okay, so let's move on to things that you love about South African expressions and words. What words and expressions do you use that are like cool? Like, I mean, lekker is one of them that we use here, which is quite funny because they only use lekker for their food, but we use it for everything. Like, hey, that's a lekker bike. Yeah. Hey, that's a lekker whatever, you know?
Oh, man. I really miss guai. like for a cigarette.
I remember that. Honestly, we used that a lot. But I
Exactly.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And even now, if I smoke a cigarette and I get smoke in my eyes, I'm like, oh, I've guai eye.
I never heard guai, but that's fantastic.
It's
Okay,
super funny.
cool.
And one that I definitely learned to use too much here is masapoos.
Yeah, but nobody really sees it as a swear word here. So we will
Exactly.
address the P word. We are so taken back in the Netherlands because I'm sure we've said this on other podcasts, but they use the word puss for a cat.
Yeah.
And so the first time I arrived in the country, some woman was walking behind me. I didn't see a cat was on the left of me, and she kept saying, "Hey, puss, puss." And I was like, what is she calling me that for? Like, I wanted to turn around and say, "Your massa pose, who's your pose?"
I learned the other day that it's actually specifically for a lady cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people go to other people's houses and then, "Oh, you have a loca puss." Like, what the is going on here? Jeez. This needs an X-rated restriction on it. Yeah, so that's okay. What other words? Give us some other lekker words that you like to use. I mean, your generation had a different language of, like, we used to use kif. I don't know if you guys ever used
not
kif.
not really.
We used to use kif. We used to use, let's go in a jol.
Joel, yeah.
Have a dop and a chop. You know?
Oh man, they escape me.
Okay, so then favorite foods. I'm not.
Favorite food?
I mean, we are having a milk tart today. So
Yes.
you like that?
So much. I love milk tart. I love just braai food in general.
Anything braai.
Yeah, anything braai. Just give me a steak and a worsie and
Chop and a dop.
aardappels and a braai broodjie.
Oh. And what foods do you miss in the stores? Like, you know, when you go back to South Africa and you walk into Spar, to Woolies or to Checkers, Pick and Pay, you know there's specifics you go there for.
I miss the Woolies lasagna and the chicken schnitzels.
Oh,
they're so
yeah,
good.
chicken schnitzels are fantastic for
And
Woolies.
their clementine, like mandarin thingies.
Yes,
so
nartjies.
good. Nartjies, yeah.
Yeah, narkies.
So good.
Yeah, nice and juicy. What else? Favorite bands in South Africa?
Spoegwolf.
Who?
Spoegwolf.
Spoegwolf.
You don't know
No, I
Spoegwolf?
don't know
They're like-
Spoegwolf, but maybe I know them, but I don't know their name. I'm very terrible
Maybe.
like that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
I think maybe their uprising in South Africa happened while you were here, and they're very popular under Afrikaans because it's an Afrikaans band. But yeah, they're
I know Fokhof
amazing.
Politica.
Oh, I love Fokhof Politica.
I just love saying that name. Fokhof Politica.
Exactly. They're like one of my go-to bands if I just feel like headbanging, you know.
But you know what's really big here is Die Antwoord.
yes.
And apparently they're living here somewhere.
Really?
Here or in Germany.
Oh.
I stand corrected, don't quote
I don't
me.
know. I feel like they'd fit in better in Germany.
But there was also someone from Parlotones here, a friend of somebody from the Parlotones here the
Real?
other day. And the Parlotone guy lives here somewhere
Yeah.
in the Netherlands. So
For real?
yeah.
Oh my god.
I think I'm right. The Parlotones guy. The Parlotones guy. He lives in the Netherlands.
Like the lead singer.
Lead singer.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so they're going to get him to come around here. So if you're listening, Parlotones guy,
Holy shit. My mom
What's
actually
his name?
once... Khan.
Khan.
Yeah. My mom actually once asked him to marry her. Yeah.
But we want to also do a podcast with him. So maybe on that day we'll bring a few South Africans in as well. We can all have a chat to him, ask him the questions we've never been able to ask. Groupie.
Groupie.
A groupie.
Oh, yes.
A groupie after the concerts, you know, there's all these groupies
All the
standing there waiting for the guy to take them up on
Yes.
stage. Please pick me, pick me, pick me.
That'll be us.
Okay, and any favorite memory, tradition, or experience that you have of South Africa when you were growing up?
Oh my goodness. So difficult to pick. My grandparents had a house in Knysna.
Oh,
In
Knysna.
Brenton on Sea. And I was also born in Knysna actually. So
oh wow,
Yeah.
Knysna girl, lovely. No
Yeah.
wonder you're so like hippie vibes. You
Yeah.
give me hippie vibes.
Flow
Even though
of the
there's this like
ocean.
intellectual drive, I get hippie vibes.
Thank you. I think that's a good summary of me. But Yeah, so we used to go there when I was a kid. Sadly, it burned down in the Knysna fires
Sorry.
a couple of years ago. But when I was a kid, we used to go there, and the whole family would meet up there, and we'd just play in the garden. My grandma and grandpa really put so much effort into their house and their garden, so it was
Wow.
really special. My grandpa also does woodwork,
Oh.
so he made so much of the furniture, and there's just something about having something homemade,
Yeah.
in your own home. It's so personal. And me and my cousins and my sister would stage Christmas plays and stuff like that.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was definitely my favorite tradition. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tradition and a beautiful memory, especially Knysna.
Mm-hmm.
Really beautiful, beautiful space and place to be around. The air, it's just
yes, so clean.
yeah, and it's just so naturistic. You could feel like you're anywhere in the world.
Yes, exactly. No,
and
it's
instead
amazing.
of the bottom of South Africa.
Mm.
And do you ever see yourself returning to South Africa? That's a bit of a...
That's a tough
I
one.
don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely don't know.
Do you still have other family in South Africa?
Yeah, my dad's there, and the rest of my family, most of my cousins are abroad, but most of the rest of my family is there.
When you say abroad, where?
My one cousin is in Berlin, another cousin is in Texas, actually those are all my cousins, except for the ones that are still in school, so they're in South Africa.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Texas and
Berlin.
Berlin.
Yes.
I was just going to say, when you said Berlin, there's an ice train you can take. They go straight
Yes.
to Berlin.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
nice to go and hook up for a weekend with them.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Europe, is you can just go quite
Exactly.
very quickly
Yeah.
around the world.
But she's a dancer. She dances for a company there, and she's on tour so much. So we've had trouble finding a time to.
Oh,
that works
maybe
for
she can meet
us.
up with you here.
Yeah.
That could also be a plan.
Yeah, we try. But
Yeah.
yeah.
You see. You look like you're quite the loner anyway. You can handle, you're quite independent. No, seriously, I don't know many 21-year-olds that are going to move to a country, study on their own, not have a support structure. So I think if anything from your upheaval from 17 to Taiwan, it really gave you, like they say here in Holland, kracht. I can see there's a lot of strength in you.
Thank you.
So very, very impressed that you're out here doing it on your
Thank
own.
you.
And we're always here for you, you know that.
Yeah.
So South Africans are always...
Yeah.
For me, going to be my home and always going to be my home. And when I see South Africans out, if I can help, I'll help if they need help.
Yeah.
And if they don't and they just need a high five, I'm here for that too, you know.
Exactly.
And I would love it if you would tell any of the South Africans you know about this so we can start getting more.
Yeah.
The more we can start speaking to people as well, I think it's so nice to actually start bringing a collection together.
Yeah.
To start seeing all the people's experiences. Because I can tell you from what I've just done now in the past couple of ones, there's been different experiences for people. But generally, it's been a tough experience to move, but a happy one.
Yeah.
Because of the positivity and the optimism that South Africans carry.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that comes from us having to battle through all the shit, that you actually keep looking at the bright side. Because you've got nothing else to do. If you don't, you're going to be doomed.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. There's definitely something special about us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we've struggled. And because we've struggled, we've had to find other ways and other plans. And people in the Netherlands are very lucky because they've not had the many struggles that we've had to face. But it also doesn't allow them to be flexible when things don't go the way planned.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's good for us South Africans to be in here, to just let them see how to be a little bit more flexible, don't you think?
I completely agree, yeah.
I've got another question for you that I want to leave the podcast with. But do you have a message for South Africans back home? And for South Africans all around the world? From Minka Brits, from Pretoria.
Oh, God.
Generation what?
Z.
Z.
Gen Z, I
Gen
guess.
Z. Recently moved to the Netherlands, lived in Taiwan.
I think that this is more addressed to the South Africans that are still in South Africa. But I find that so many of my friends and my family that live there are just so negative about the state of the country, you know, and then they talk to me and they're like, you're so lucky, you get to have all these experiences, like you travel, you see new things. And then I always think like that's very true. I'm super lucky, but you know, I always say like the brighter the light, the darker the shadow, you know? So I can have like so many great experiences, but there's so much that you sacrifice. And you don't realize exactly what you sacrifice until it's gone. And so I don't want to tell people there to not, like, if they want to move, then do it. I think it's a great thing for your mind and for your soul to grow. But also realize that there is no other place like South Africa in this world. And there's so much to appreciate about it, you know, in all of its chaos and all of its...
what you said was very profound, very amazing, and very true. Yeah. And it's weird because I've also always spoken about the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And in life, you've got that choice.
Yeah.
You can shine very bright, but then you have to equally accept the very dark.
Yeah.
Or you can keep it very small and only deal with little instances of shadow. Or you can stay mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I know South Africans and I know our hearts, we do shine bright.
We do. Yeah.
But you forget it when you're in South Africa.
Exactly.
And you start to look at people like you and I and think, so lucky. But we've sacrificed a lot. And you're right. Yeah. There is no place like South Africa.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is no place like South Africa.
Yeah. My friend the other day told me that he just wants to get out of the country, go explore something. And I'm like, fair. That when I was in high school, all I wanted to do was go study abroad. You know, I was learning French so that I can get in a French university, and I completely understand that drive. But his reason is because kind of like wanting to escape some stuff, you know. And then I told him, listen, like, you're not gonna solve your demons by just running away from them. And I think that's a lot of. Like, that's the motivation for a lot of South Africans, you know. It's like you're not going to run away ever.
Yeah, because the mind is a crazy neighborhood and you're the only one that lives there.
Exactly.
Mike Tyson said that, actually. Let me give him credits. But it's the truth. Wherever you go in the world, you take your mind with you, and that's where the turmoil comes. But I do believe as well that travel is growth. And I wish that a lot of South Africans could get into a financial position where they can start to explore.
Very true.
Because once they start seeing it from another perspective, they can go back and live there and be okay. And the only reason I'm here still punting along is because I want to explore more. Yeah. And I know by being here, even though I've got the Dutch heritage, I'm still a South African girl. But I do want to explore, and I know that being here gives me that opportunity much more.
Yeah.
And saying that, where in the world do you want to travel next? Any lists of countries on your bucket list? Do you have a bucket list?
Yeah, I really want to go to Slovenia.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. I just feel this draw to Slovenia, and I really love Hungary. I want to go back to Hungary.
Oh yes, you've been there. You said okay. Yeah. Nice.
I guess just Europe in general. I'm planning on staying in the Netherlands for a while more after I graduate, which would be in May. So probably like a year or 2 years more, because there's so many more places that I want to see in Europe, you know, or close by. And I'm like, if I move somewhere else now, God knows where, first of all, I don't feel ready to make that move again. Second of all, I'm going to be rushing all these experiences. Like, instead of spending my time in like traveling to one country, I'm going to be like, okay, well, I only have a short amount of time, so let me go through 3 countries in 1 week, you know. And that's just not it feels more stressful than enjoyable, and the purpose is for
traveling is very stressful, and moving is very stressful.
Yeah.
They say that moving is like experiencing a death. It's got that same trajectory that gets you to a point of feeling like the floor's been taken out.
Yes.
And then you've got to start to build it up again. So you've got a very good idea to stay here and then move out from here.
Exactly.
Especially because everything's so close and it's relatively non-expensive.
Yeah.
If you're working here and earning the money here.
Yeah.
But that's what I've decided is for the next couple of years of my life, I'm just going to use all the money that I make and I generate to travel, see new experiences, see new people, share the magic that is inside.
Exactly.
Chat to more South Africans around the world.
Yeah.
Take my little podcast bag with me everywhere I go. And say, hi, you're South African. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate that you came out today, and that you've also just been such a bright light. You know, just meeting you has been wonderful. It's been looking back in my life and thinking, wow, that was me one day long ago. I think we've got like pretty much I'm actually double your age.
Yeah. I think so,
That's it, yeah.
Whoa. Crazy.
Can you believe that? But you're only as old as you feel, and I feel really young and alive and full of magnetic, vibrant energy.
I see that.
Which I'm going to build up for our yoga class tonight.
I'm very excited.
And I wish you the best, and I wish that everything you do just brings out the light that shines from your eyes, because there's such magic and miracles in your heart. I can see it.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking.
Good.
Here.
I'm glad that you have, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the experience. Anything
Yes.
last to say? Give us your last talkings.
Bye.
What's your favorite song from Spoegvol?
So difficult. I really go back and forth, but I think Drie tyd op die dakke.
Wat?
Drie tyd op die dakke.
Drie tyd. Tyd as in time.
Yeah, op
Die
dakke. Yeah, that first one right there.
This one right
Yeah.
here. Okay, let's see if I can put it through the music here. Thanks, Minka. We love you.
Janine.
Vir 'n kamer langs aan jou. Ek klim ons uit en klim tot op die dak, waar die stad vir jou kan kyk. Vir jou sal ek dan al my tyd vir hierdie laaste ding in my sak. Dan loop ons 10 keer om dieselfde blok. Door die mense saam ons gaan nooit weer te blok. Catherine, jy
Thank you, Minka. We'll speak to you soon.
Very much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh.
Here we go. I had to put your volume back up. Sorry.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Janine.
So sweet if you could see her face right now. Oh, thanks so much. And thank you for listening, everyone. We'll be back soon and shortly. Bye. And as the Dutch say, doei.
Doodoo.
Ah, Minky Pinky. So sweet, hey? Thank you for sharing your story and for being such an independent and courageous young lady at only 20 years old. How cute. I'm sure your journey so far will encourage other South Africans to study and explore abroad. So baie dankie, Scotty. Okay, so as this journey unfolds for us all, there will be some improvements in the production and editing side, as we will begin to explore video recordings of the actual podcast. We feel it would be so lekker for you to see the South Africans sharing their stories, especially because our body language and typically animated way of speaking needs to be seen. So after this episode, we will begin to film live recordings at the Lekker store if you are in the Netherlands. And we will then record Zoom video calls with South Africans living around the world. Another slight alteration to the pods will be the frequency of the episode uploads, which we will now be dropping once a month. As this is an in-house one-man band with a few Yussus ambassadors kindly offering volunteer work, once a month uploads will give you, the listener, time to fully engage in the episode, and it will allow myself and my small team to explore new guests, upgrade technology, and offer a more personalized experience. As we flow, we grow together, moment to moment. So yalla, if you are toying with the idea and feeling yourself edging to connect with us to tell your story, just be lekker and seize the moment. We would love for you to become part of this dynamic and delicious community of South Africans living around the world. And I bet you have a lekker story to share, no? A shout out to the Lekker store for hosting these podcasts in their shop, as your positive South African vibes add so much smaak to these recordings. Lekker soos 'n cracker. Ja, but baie dankie julle, or as Christina Storm says, koop 'n fucking donkey. And remember, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. But if you are South African, you kyk noord en fok voort. We are Yussus, South Africa's wildest, alive with possibilities.